And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're talking about On the Underground, which is a game you might not have heard about because it's an older game. I believe it came out in 2000 and doesn't say on here, so it certainly came out several years ago. It's a game that didn't get a lot of buzz, but it's about riding the subway. Now, I never rode the London Underground because I have not been there, but I did ride the Seoul subways and use them quite a bit, and it certainly is an experience as you switch from one to the other, trying to figure out the best way to get to one place to another, and that's what this game is about, except you're dealing with a lazy, unresponsive, well, he's responsive, a lazy passenger though. Let me show you. Okay, here's the board which shows the London Underground, and it shows different train connections, and here is our lazy, annoying passenger. Onto the side of the board, we'll have 4 destination tickets that are drawn randomly from a pile. We're going to put destination markers on those spots that the passenger needs to get to. Look at that. Right there in his face, he can just walk down the street to get there. Now, each player is going to get a color or colors of wooden sticks, basically depending on the number of players in the game. And you can tell that by looking down here at these scoring markers. For example, in a 3-player game, one person's going to be orange, pink, and red. One person will be green, brown, and blue. And the other person will be white, gray, and black. While if we were playing a different game, maybe a 2-player game, then we would use these scoring markers. And if you played a 4 or 5-player game, each person would only have 2 different colors that they would control. Each color is distinct. It's its own line, and you see I already have these kind of conveniently split up. Now, on a player's turn, they will do 2 things. They will place tracks on the board. When they're placing tracks on the board, they can place up to 4 tracks. When they start placing a line on the board, they can start anywhere. But after that, they can only go from one end of the line to the other end of the line. They cannot branch off unless they pay 2 branch tokens. Now, branch tokens are gotten in 2 different ways. You get them from not building a line, you can take a branch token, or when you connect to one of these terminals down here, these red terminals, you get a branch token. In fact, you also will get 2 points. You connect to a blue terminal, you'll get 1 point. A red one will give you 2 points and a branching token. And if you connect 2 matching stations, you get 3 points. So how does that work? These matching stations are randomized at the beginning of the game. You can see them around the board. And so, for example, here is champagne glass here at Charing Cross, and over here one at Notting Hill Gate. So if I connect those with one of my lines, I will get 3 points, while most of the ones that give other points are on the outskirts of town. Now, once you've laid your track, you must move the passenger. So you'll go over here, and if there are express tickets, there's 2 of them, you must use one of those first, and then you use one of these other tickets. So I use Angel. Now, when this guy goes to Angel, which is here, he will always take the path of least resistance. He will not walk if he can possibly help it. It's like, for example, he could walk at a Great Portland Station, but if there was a train that went all the way down here and around and back to Great Portland Station, he would not do such a thing. So he'll take a line. So here he takes the black line, and moving through that line is going to get the black player points. He will switch from line to line if he has to. He will always do the least amount of connections because he's lazy. So even if one line is longer but only has 1 connecting spot on the board, he'll take that. And if another line has 3 connecting spots but shorter, he will not take that. So he follows very strict rules, and then he gets there. Once he gets there, then that comes off the board, and that's where he is for the next one. And then if we've used an express ticket, we will then use a regular ticket. If there are no express tickets, you simply do a regular ticket, and then it's the next person's turn. So the different ways of scoring are basically to connect your lines to these different places and also set lines up so that he's using your line even on other players' turns. That's why in the middle here you can see there's certain spots where multiple lines can be connected, and on the outskirts there's fewer lines, sometimes only one line at all possible. And so the game will continue to go until one player has gone through the whole deck, or when someone draws the last card from the deck. At that point, after a final turns, the game is over, and whoever has scored the most points is the winner. This is one of those gems that I have in my collection. I keep it because I just really enjoy it that much. In fact, I wish they made this with other underground subway maps, with the Seoul subway map, or the Tokyo subway map, or the New York City subway map. There's a lot of features I like about this game. Now, I must warn you, I will refuse to play this game with more than 3 players. I play it with 3 or 2 because there's a lot more interaction that way, and you get to go in your turn. Otherwise, if you play with 4 more players, you might as well kind of go to sleep until it's your turn again, because you don't really know how the board is going to be set up. I like having the 3 or 4 lines because you can connect you can take one of your lines, and the number of lengths in each line is not necessarily the same, but you can maybe make a loop in the middle, and that one's important. That one, the passenger's always going on to get to the different spots. Or you can hit those outer spots, maybe one of your lines, the passenger's not going to go on very often, but at the same time, it will get you points in different spots. There's a lot of very strong strategy, and it has that pre-programmed idea because the passenger moves on a very specific routes, and that's neat because you can kind of plan for it. You can say, okay, no one's going to take him to this ticket here, but he's going to have to go there eventually. So I'm going to build my line so that when he does have to go over there, he's going to have to use my line. And it's a very entertaining game in that regard for me, trying to figure out how the passenger will move and set it up so that my lines are the most efficient way for him to go. I think with 2 or 3 players, it is an absolutely excellent game. It's more thinky than most. You might find yourself quiet during the course of the game, but it's not a difficult game. There's no costs involved. You just throw some track on the board and then move the passenger. A superb, wonderful little game. If you can find it, and I know that they sell these in stores, and you can find it on the internet for an inexpensive price, it would certainly be one I would recommend you picking up on the Underground.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.